Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Thursday night. It's May the 29th. Lovely to have you in for another episode of the Prime Time program. So, we have OTAs almost in the books. Only one more week of Titans voluntary work before we get into mandatory minicamp. And really, it's 2 more weeks until football goes away, until training camp, which is crazy that training camp is that close. But also unfortunate that football will go out of our lives for about 6 weeks. Football practice, anyway. I know you guys are deprived of football right now, but you're still getting your practice updates. You're still getting press conference clips. You're still getting interviews. And obviously, we're going to talk about it because that's what we do around here on the Primetime Show. But there's one thing that stands out about the Titans at this particular time of year, and that's the attendance at this point. Now, attendance is something that you may value or you may not, given how you view the state of your team, given how much you know about this team or how little you know about this team. But there's one player that's keeping the Titans from having perfect attendance at OTAs, ironically enough, and it is one of the most important players on the football team. I would not say the most important player on the football team because, of course, Cam Ward does exist, and Cam Ward has a lot more value at this point in time and carries a lot more weight at this point in time than does Jeffrey Simmons. But it is notable that Jeff is the one who is not participating in the voluntary, keyword voluntary, offseason program at this point in time. So we're going to ask you guys how you feel about it. You may not care. You may think I'm full of shit for even talking about it. You may think that I'm being antagonistic in this particular situation, or starting a conversation where there's not a conversation to be had, and that may very well be the case. But because this is your guys' show and you dictate where the conversation goes, I'm just genuinely curious. And we did a little bit of this on the radio show today, but I'd like to have a more elongated conversation with you guys directly about it, because I do think it's interesting given the emphasis of the offseason program and Jeff's level of import to the football team and to the leadership group. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about the offensive line progress and how you're feeling about your new look offensive line, some pieces and parts that weren't available for us to see yesterday at practice, but have been in attendance in some form or fashion. Then we'll wrap up with a weekend bounce back, because that's what we do. Before we get started, I need you guys to share the show around. Looks like we're a little sluggish on Facebook tonight. I don't know if that's my fault. I don't know if that's Facebook's fault. Or if the notification didn't go out, but we appreciate you guys when you share the show around. Oh, I know why. Ross, you screwed up the title on Facebook. I'm going to need you to fix that if you would, because it looks like this right now, and obviously nobody's going to click on whatever the hell that is. It's just a bunch of links as opposed to the title to the show. You can, and if you don't know how to do that, Ross is filling in for Robert tonight. If you don't know how to do that, Ross, give Austin a quick call and he'll be able to make that adjustment for you if you would like. Anyway, while more of you guys join the show and as we start to pick up traction here, I'll remind you, like I said, you need to share the show around Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Retweet it on Twitter. Share now to public on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell a friend to do the same. In fact, you can even text the link to a friend if you're feeling so inclined, and we always appreciate when you guys do share this broadcast around. And as you do that, we'll go ahead and get this thing up and rolling, and we will make sure that we have a great time, as we always do. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the VIP Play app studios. I am your host, Buck Rising. Lovely to see you all, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. You guys know that Friday are my TrueMath Fitness days, and I am very excited to get back in the gym at TrueMath Fitness tomorrow. Little Arm Farm Friday. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. Just the best at TrueMathFitness.com. You know, Two Rivers Ford is the South's most trusted Ford dealer for a reason. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service is what they offer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more info. And, of course, the VIP Play app. It is too late to bet pregame on the Knicks and the Pacers, as New York has a 10-point lead, and Jalen Brunson is trying to get the Garden going early in the first quarter, trying to survive a down 3-1 in that series. Whether you're betting the basketball tonight the hockey, or every other favorite or every other major sport, VIP Play is where you go with that promo code ATOZTN to get in on all the action. All right, so Jeffrey Simmons is not in attendance at OTAs. He is the only player not in attendance for the Titans voluntary program. So it is one player of, I believe it's currently 91 on the roster who has not been able to, or is training on their own. Has decided that it makes more sense for Jeff to train on his own as opposed to being a part of the voluntary offseason program. B. French points out correctly that Derrick Henry missed every, and I don't know if Derrick missed every offseason program of the 8 seasons that he was there, but once Derrick became Derrick and they could trust Derrick to do his own thing, and I know there was that weird Mike Mularkey situation coming out of his rookie year or coming into his sophomore year where he was going back to Alabama to get his degree, but he just didn't tell anybody on the coaching staff that that's what he was doing. And Jarrell Casey had a couple of, not so shy comments about, yeah, I know who I can trust and who I can't, or who I can count on and who I can, and kind of evoking Derrick Henry, which was crazy at the time, given who Derrick would ultimately become. But there's a big difference between Derrick Henry and Jeffrey Simmons. Derrick Henry has been several times the best player at his position anywhere in the league. Jeffrey Simmons is a fine player. Jeffrey Simmons is an above average player when he's healthy, but lately he hasn't been super healthy, and that has obviously diminished his ability. There's moments where Jeff looks like you're accustomed or like you expect him to look, but he's never been the best player at his position. In fact, he's probably been borderline top 5, maybe just outside the top 5. Given that Aaron Donald retired, he's probably he's probably in the conversation for 4th or 5th best, but those things are difficult to maintain. And, football players, I'm not going to say Jeff obviously hasn't fallen off or anything like that, but those things are hard to keep up at a rate. Aaron Donald is a different creature for a reason, right? Tom Brady is a different creature for a reason. Those guys are singular, and it doesn't mean that Jeff isn't a good player. It just means that he's never been the best at his position, and it feels like he's a far cry from that in the last couple of years. It's really been, and I've talked about this before, and I know me and Jeff had a conversation about it last year about him not appreciating what I was saying about him not living up to his contract. And then I had to explain to him, well, Jeff, but it's simply based on availability. Like, you just haven't been as available as you were before you signed this deal. And once you sign that deal, it changes the expectations. And we came to a reasonable agreement on that, as most reasonable people do. You get caught up in the heat of the moment, but that's fine. These things happen, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of conflict. As long as you can get to a place where you're looking around and saying, well, yeah, I may not necessarily outright agree with you, but I understand your perspective. And so Jeff and I have that mutual understanding, and I appreciate him that way. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop holding to him to a high standard. And it doesn't mean that he will stop taking issue with the things that I or anybody else who's critical of him say. But when you are one of the best players on the team, you are held to a higher standard, and I think that's completely fair when it comes to Jeffrey. So that brings me to you guys and how you guys view this particular situation, because Jeffrey Simmons and Derrick Henry are not comparable. Derrick Henry was indisputably somebody who earned the right to do as he wished as far as his offseason program, because there are very few people in the history of sports, regardless of sports, not just football, basketball, baseball, soccer, anywhere, that take care of themselves, that take the care that Derrick Henry does. And I think Jeffrey works very, very hard to put himself in the best physical condition that he can. So I take no issue with that. But the issue where I think it might arise is as far as what the emphasis of this offseason has been. And the emphasis of this offseason, as you've paid attention to a lot of different things, has been, well, we need to build leadership, because what we had as far as the leadership last year wasn't getting it done, was not sufficient, was not good enough, did not bring the team together the way that the team needed to be brought together. And yeah, maybe Levis nuking them week in and week out would have done a number on team morale, no matter how many times or how many different types of activities that they tried. But it is an interesting question. So the question is simple: fair or foul in the comment section. Jeff Simmons not being present for the voluntary, keyword voluntary, portion of the offseason program so far. The only Titans player not present in some form or fashion for the Titans offseason program. We will talk about these things together. It's your Two Rivers Ford Take. As always, it's presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. That's Two Rivers Ford, quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service on offer. Two Rivers Ford goes above and beyond. They also offer you employee pricing for everyone. That's Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Like I mentioned, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Brian Callahan was asked a question about this, and I don't think that he's going to be hypercritical of Jeffrey Simmons no matter what question that he's asked, but it was worth asking that he was the only player who has not been in attendance in some form or fashion for this Titans offseason program. For what it's worth, the players who we did not physically lay eyes on yesterday, but everybody but Jeff, I know, was in the building because I texted a handful of people in the building afterwards to make sure that I wasn't getting ready to pop off about something that I didn't see. All right, so guys not spotted at OTAs: Tyler Lockett, L'Jarius Sneed, Kevin Zeitler, Lloyd Cushenberry, Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons. And then guys who were there but not full participants: Traylon Burks, Kevin Winston Jr., Khalil Mullings, two of the rookies, and then Traylon, who is working his way back from the ACL. But all of those players, even Sneed, who's facing a potential grand jury indictment from his legal situation that occurred. I believe the lawsuit was filed in February, but it was a December issue. The alleged shooting with all the different details that were in there, and the lawsuit that was filed then after, several months after. But all of those guys, including L'Jarius Sneed, who has that legal situation, and Tavondre Sweat, who I have been made aware since then because I sent a couple of text messages today and found out that Sweat is dealing with a sore hip. So they're just taking it easy on the big fella. Jeff's the only one who hasn't been in the building at any point this offseason. As a part of the offseason program, maybe Jeff has been in the building, at some point since the season ended, but not necessarily for the offseason work, the offseason program that they put together. And Brian Callahan was asked about this at the podium on, was it yesterday or Tuesday? I think it was yesterday. Yesterday feels right. Either way, all these days are blurring together. This is the Titans head coach asked about Jeffrey Simmons and his attendance or lack thereof.
What's Jeff's offseason been like to this point?
It's been pretty consistent for Jeff, I think. Again, whether you see him every day here or not, there's one person on this team, probably more than anybody, I never worry about being ready to play on Sunday, and that's Jeff. So been pleased with where he's at. He's working. I know he's ready to roll. So that's pretty all I can say to that. You'll find out.
And we did find out, and he was not. So that's Brian Callahan yesterday. So fair or foul, the question. B. Birds says fair of Jeffrey Simmons' absence. Mario, Curtis, who else? Saying foul at this point in time. A handful of people saying foul. Randy Howard agrees they're going to go with foul strictly due to the lead of a boisterous leader that Jeff has shown he could be. Vernon Sanford also agrees on Facebook Live. Foul with so many rookies. He should set the example as the vet. Listen, at the end of the day, there's only one answer to this question. And the one answer to this question is that it's fair. It is fair for Jeff to miss voluntary work because it is voluntary. Now, in the NFL, and I'm sure many of you who played football, regardless of what level, even in high school, right? The voluntary stuff was never made to feel voluntary. And I promise you that even though the rules strictly require that these things be voluntary and that everybody say that they are voluntary, it is strongly suggested that these guys be participants, especially when you've had the level of emphasis on the leadership elements that they are trying to generate around this team, because the coaching staff felt like they were devoid of leadership last year and have to find different ways to get these players to connect. You never want to be the only one out. So the answer to the question is fair. I really think that's the only answer to the question. As long as it's voluntary, it's, you can't kill him for missing a voluntary situation, but you have to take into context what voluntary actually means here, especially given that it's completely antithetical to everything that the coaching staff has talked about, even though Brian Callahan is saying, and I think correctly so, that, I never have to worry about Jeff being ready to go on game days. I mean, I know he's struggled with availability in the last couple of years, basically since the new contract was signed. He's missed time for various injuries, whether it was the ankle in 22, and then believe they shut him down in 23 at a certain point in time. I can't remember the nature of the injury there. Last year it was the elbow, right? He tore a tendon, or he basically had like the Tommy John injury, but was going to be able to play through it. He did miss a little bit of time, but did come back, and to his credit, played as best he could on a bad arm. I'm sure that's the case, and that would directly affect his ability to do his job. So I don't fault him for that whatsoever, because he's also cognizant of the narrative that started out there. It's not like, and I brought one of the reasons that Jeff got as upset with me as he did last year was one, I said that he was not living up to the contract. And, frankly, I stand by that, and he's welcome to disagree. And we've had that conversation before, obviously, both diplomatically and not so diplomatically. And then the other part of this is the comparison that I made between him and Taylor Lewan after they both got second contracts. Now, Taylor obviously missed time due to a PED suspension. Jeff's never had that problem. But then Taylor started to miss time with the knee injury, and he was never able to rebound from that because his ACL repair was botched. As far as I know, he's still in a lawsuit over it with Dr. James Andrews. And his knee was never the same, and he was never able to play football again. And he's never technically retired, but we know that Taylor's never going to be able to play football again because of the knee injury. But regardless, he signed a second contract. His availability fell off a cliff, and you all started to be heavily critical of him. And I remember prior to last season starting, I don't remember if it was during OTAs or right before training camp, but it was at some point last spring or summer where I was having the conversation about, okay, well, once you start to compare, or what is there a comparison to be had in the way that fans were reacting to Lewan at the time and the way that fans will soon start to treat Jeffrey Simmons if he does not improve upon that most important ability, which is availability. And I think, there's a big reason that he went through what he did last year, because in the previous 2 years, he'd shut it down after the fact. I think that there are so many different things. Adam Lehman says, what happened to that list you posted about multiple people missing OTAs? Well, no, again, I just read you that list for context, because Jeff is the only one not in the building at all. The rest of those guys, as I mentioned, and I'll read you the list again, of guys who are not at OTAs, if you want to pick a fight about it. Tyler Lockett, was he at practice? Was he on the practice field yesterday? No. Is he in the building? Yes. L'Jarius Sneed, was he on the practice field yesterday? No. Has he been in the building throughout the course in various pieces and parts in OTAs? Yes. Kevin Zeitler, was he on the practice field yesterday? No. Has he been in the building? Yes. Lloyd Cushenberry, same situation. In fact, Lloyd is rehabbing his Achilles situation at the facility. Tavondre Sweat, not on the practice field yesterday. Has he been in the building? Was he in the building yesterday? The answer to that is yes. So all of these players, except for Jeff, who missed practice yesterday but have been in the building, that's the difference. Jeff hasn't been in the building. The rest of those guys have. So that's what I mean when you talk about perfect attendance at OTA, smartass. I think that all the different things that you look at here, it doesn't mean that Jeff can't still be a leader on this football team. It doesn't mean that his teammates think any less of him. It doesn't mean that any of these other things. It doesn't mean that, he'll have a bad season or any of the other things. But it just, you never want to be the only one not doing something in a team sport, even if it is voluntary. So from that element, I think it's notable, even if it is fair for him to miss the work at this time of year, because it is fair for them, according to the CBA, it is contractually negotiated that if they want the option to miss this time, then they can miss this time if they so choose. Now, somebody who's not missed a beat is J.C. Latham. J.C. Latham is somebody who we're getting ready to talk about coming up next. Christopher Young says, is Jeff not a part of the groups they have split up? No, because he's not here. So again, this team building exercise, Jeff is not on a team because Jeff is not here to be put on a team. Again, a part of that team building emphasis. And if you can't participate, now he's going to be here for training camp, and he will be put onto a team when he gets here for training camp. But he's neither hurting a team or contributing to a team. He's just N/A right now. And then the point scoring system for the team competitions that they are going through, it does not end in the offseason program, it rolls over through training camp. So they take that 6-week break, as we all do when the NFL goes on hiatus for the summer. Then when we come back, the point system keeps going. They don't reset the board because they don't want guys to be able to slack off at the end of OTAs, thinking that they're going to get a fresh start once training camp actually gets here. So Jeff will be eventually on a team, and he'll be on a team if assuming that he's mandatory minicamp, right? I assume that he would be there for mandatory minicamp unless there's a contract situation that we don't know about as of right now. There's no reason to think that there's a contract situation of all these different things right now. But with everything that's going on, I do think it's notable just from the element of they are trying to get this message across to everybody on the team. And one of the team's most notable leaders, in fact, you can see the C on his chest there, a team captain, is not there to participate right now. Doesn't mean that he won't be in the next 2 weeks when it becomes mandatory. Just not right now during the voluntary stuff. Okay. What's your level of confidence in the Titans' rebuild offensive line unit? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you can give me your answer while I tell you guys about the wonderful folks at TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com. Your first workout is free. Free. The best is free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, no workout ever recycled or repeated. TrueMathFitness.com for more information. They are there to help you achieve your fitness goals. They are there to help you go above and beyond whatever it is that you're imagining to get healthier, to get happier. True Math Fitness is there to serve you. TrueMathFitness.com for more info today. All right. So scale of 1 to 10, what is your level? They don't have pads on, so it's impossible. Anybody who's saying that they're above a 6 right now is a liar, because I see many of you very, 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 very optimistic about this. Anybody over a 6 is a liar because they don't have pads on yet. But that's fine. You can answer however you want to, even if I think it's not, you can't make an argument for it to be anything above a 6 reasonably, because you haven't seen these guys actually competing just yet. There is, though, something that I would be optimistic about. I am significantly more optimistic about J.C. Latham playing right tackle, even if I don't like the Dan Moore contract. And J.C. was asked a couple of different questions on Wednesday about, first and foremost, his conditioning, because physically he looks a lot different this year. He's trimmed the baby fat and coming in ready to work because, according to, in his own words, he described it as being embarrassed by how out of shape he got throughout the course of last season.
After that Houston game, I told somebody after the Chargers game, I felt like I was in really good shape. I feel like I can play in this league at a high level. Obviously, there's things I need to improve on and have improved on up until that point. But everybody was telling me, hey, watch your weight. That kind of sneaks up on you at the end of the year. You think you're comfortable, and you just blow it up. And I didn't take that advice to heart, obviously. Got bigger, so leading into that Houston game, I was probably my heaviest, and I just felt a lot slower, and it was embarrassing for me. That's when I had to talk with, Bill, just about the level of the standard that we want to play at, and that I can hold myself to, that I know I can play at. So going into the offseason, that was my biggest focus, really just to get in a lot better shape and lose a lot of the weight.
So that is J.C. Latham talking about his embarrassment and his lack of conditioning last year. And then we had a longer conversation with JC after the fact. It was me and Teron Davenport over there, and he was talking about his work in Dallas this offseason with a guy named Duke Manyweather, who hosts a summer camp called O-Line Masterminds. I got confused initially, thinking that he had already gone to O-Line Masterminds this offseason, but I guess he's training with Duke separately in Dallas with some other guys, and then going back for O-Line Masterminds later on, which is why I asked him about the camp, and I think he seemed a little confused, even though we ended up working it out. So here's JC at a little bit longer length.
Put him a little bit just about, who he is as a person. But yeah, I'm ecstatic. So he's rehabbing right now. So, but I'm ecstatic to really just like play with him on the field. That guy, I think he's in year 14. Yeah. In my opinion, anything past, because they say the threshold is you get 3 years in this league. That's the average, guys are out of here. So, anything past that, especially when you get to that double-digit range, you're doing something exceptional. But, and to talk to him about his habits and his routines, and, no knock to the guys that we've already had, Lloyd, Peter, all those guys, but, when you reach a double-digit figure and years played, that's really impressive. So that's something to take note of.
The 4 H's and the movement of the lockers and everything. You guys just have that back corner. I guess you don't have that anymore. how's that been for team bonding for you getting to know some of the new guys?
Yeah, I think it's a really great idea. You know, it's all split up. So I got Xavier Woods next to me on my right. I'm sitting next to a lineman with OJ to my left.
Okay.
But I mean, you look across from me. I see Lloyd across from me, right next to Cam and Ridley. So you know those are offensive linemen, obviously. So I mean, just having that team camaraderie that really builds that chemistry. When I was down there in Dallas training with, Duke and Dan, one of the guys who were there were Trey, the guard for the Chiefs. And I asked him, I was like, hey, you guys were in a lot of close games this year. Like, what's one thing that kind of separated you guys? Like how did you guys always come away with the win? Like, you look at it, like, I think almost all of their wins, besides like 2 or 3 or whatever, were a single last possession type of win. And he told me, he was like, just the chemistry that they had. Like, they knew every game was going to be a dogfight. They were Super Bowl champions. Like, they knew everybody was coming after them. So, like, that chemistry that they built with each other, I mean, you'll hear from some people, like, that say, like, team chemistry can beat, any game plan, any culture. Like if you have a culture with your team, I mean, that's one of the most important things.
How valuable is that camp that Duke runs for the opportunity?
Say it again?
The camp in Dallas that you went to with Duke, how valuable is that for you guys to be able to just kind of bounce ideas off one another?
I mean, immensely important and valuable to me. I heard about it in previous years. He has something he calls his O-line mastermind down there every summer. And, at Alabama, because it falls on a Friday. So Saban wasn't too lenient to let us leave on this workouts on that Friday. So, that'd be kind of hard to make happen, but he definitely, now being in the NFL, like having that leeway in the summer where I'm off and being able to go, when I was there, I mean, it was so important, like being around like guys like Rashad Slater and Trevor Penny and all those guys, like guys who really just like master their crafts, and guys who are really like Peter Skolonsky was there, like so many guys like who were over there who were really just great at the fine details of things. You'll meet guys who've been in the league for 8, 9, 10 years. Lane Johnson will be there in the summer. So it's like guys like that I can learn from, that I can see like this is the peak of the NFL. There's nothing above the NFL. And these are the guys who are at their best in the NFL. So being around those guys, seeing how they work, seeing how they approach the game, seeing how they handle everything, I mean, you can't ask, as a competitor, you can't ask for that.
All right, so the wind really messed that up at the end. But I will make sure that I have my wind-breaking microphones. Wind-breaking microphones, that sounds weird. But my, what do you call it? External noise buffers that we put on the microphones when we go back out to practice next week, so we don't have to deal with that. But a lot of good intel there from JC about the direction that he's heading. I mean, I'm very comfortable with saying that I'm at a 5.5 on the Titans offensive line unit. Denver's a really, really tough place for them to start. Lloyd Cushenberry's rehabilitation process is probably the most important thing to me as far as what the ceiling for this unit is. And that's, with all due respect to guys like Corey Levin and who else did they bring in? Sam Mustipher and other guys who have starting experience at center. It is critically important for them to have as close to that full 5 across, including Cushenberry, for Cam Ward to be the best version of themselves, especially Cushenberry, given the emphasis on interior pressure that defenses will place to disrupt any quarterback, but particularly a rookie quarterback in Denver who led the league in sacks last year. So 5.5 is where I'm at right now. Doesn't mean that they can't improve upon that, and obviously we'll wait for them to be in pads during training camp and see how much better or worse we feel about the situation. But I don't think you can actually answer anything over a 6 right now before you see them in pads, before you see them as a full group, because right now there's still questions, even though for all intents and purposes, this is a rebuilt offensive line unit, the way that they've been chasing now for, I don't know, 5 seasons. When did Conklin walk? 2020? It's been that long. All right, weekend bounce back. Who needs to bounce back most in sports? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you go. Let me know in the comment section, and we'll talk about it together right after. I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the wonderful people at at VIP Play app, formerly known as Zen Sports, but now VIP Play. Download the app, bet $5, get $100 in bonus bets. Play like a VIP with the VIP Play guarantee, where the world comes to play, where you can get in on all the action on over 200 leagues for your favorite sports bets for all the action. VIP play is where you go. Promo code ATOZTN is how you get involved. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet in the VIP Play app. All right, who needs to bounce back most this weekend? Let me know in the comment section. We'll talk about it together. Jack Longley says Stephon Diggs and the timing of illicit activities on the boat. Well, allegedly illicit activities. I don't know what that pink substance was. And apparently Cardi B was on the boat, so he's not, I mean, there's not visual evidence of him cheating on Cardi B. It's just a bunch of, I think I called them on the radio show thoughts today, not thoughts, but thoughts, hanging out around him, asking him for whatever was in that little bag of pink substance. Again, is it illicit? Is it not? I don't know. It's reckless speculation, but it was funny to watch Mike Vrabel have to answer questions about it at a press conference yesterday. Made me laugh out loud. Absolutely. I think that there are so many different things that you could nominate as a bounce back, but I would honestly nominate Mike Vrabel for a bounce back, having to deal with that particular situation. So whether it was pink cocaine or Molly or I don't know, I talked about this on the radio show today. Hell, there was drugs at a bar that I was at that I had no idea. I've never heard of honey sticks, but apparently honey sticks or something that is I'm showing my age now. Hello, fellow children. Let me learn more about your drug culture. Didn't know anything about honey sticks and the fact that they have the magic mushrooms in them, but I saw those making the rounds at the bar over the weekend. That was news to me. So all manner of different things that could be illicit, could not be illicit. For all I know, it was a pixie stick, but I mean, pixie sticks can have a little extra kick to them as well. Wide receiver one activity, says Mike Vrabel's burner on YouTube. Yeah, he's having a tough time. Curtis is cheating and doing coke on live is wild. I mean, he didn't seem to mind the camera on him, and Cardi B was on the boat. So, I don't know. This is the thing, and this is also something I said on the radio show today. It's not that people who don't live in the world of, and there's exceptions, right? The whole Diddy situation is the worst and most horrifying and one of them, right? Epstein and then Diddy, the most extreme and disgusting and awful versions of people at a certain level of wealth or fame having way different sex lives than the rest of us, right? But once you get to a certain point, you hooking up with somebody in front of your girlfriend, or what was the Earl Thomas thing? Wasn't he having sex with a woman who was not his wife and his brother at the same time when his wife walked in on them and pulled a gun on the three of them in the midst of that? That may sound like the most salacious thing you've ever heard in your life, but I don't know. On a scale of athletes and sex lives, I've heard way worse just being around professional athletes for coming up on 10 years. So, some of this stuff, it looks more salacious or more scandalous because it would be to you or me, but not to them because they don't live normal lives, right? They exist in a totally different world on a variety of different fronts. But I would say that everybody involved in that probably could use an optical bounce back. But my bounce back is going to be Will Levis, who threw a pick six to end practice yesterday. He's just trying to get himself off the schneid at this point in time. God knows he's been trying for quite some time. This was Will Levis speaking with us after practice yesterday.
It's been fun getting back here with the guys. We're not training on my own out in California, so that was a lot of fun for about 7 weeks. And had some time with the family and time to enjoy the rest of my life outside of football.
What'd you learn from going out to California with Jordan Paul?
There was a lot of just kind of relearning my stroke, just relearning my body and trying to get back to the basics with him, and I feel like it's definitely paid off. Been feeling good.
What's it feeling like for you going into year 3 and obviously with some new faces in the room?
The what?
What's it feeling like for you going into year 3 and obviously new faces in the room?
I mean, I feel more and more comfortable every day. It's all it takes at this position is just reps and experience, and try to take advantage of it anytime that I can to improve. I'm just pumped about not having to learn a new offense. So that's been fun to kind of get to the level of 300, 400 of
the playbook and being able to go out and just run anything without really even talking about it, which is cool.
What have you liked about the competition, not just with Cam, but also the working relationship that you guys are developing?
Yeah, we got a good room. I mean, I feel like I've been blessed and able to be in just some great rooms with great guys in my career, and we are able to keep it light when we need to and talk about things outside of ball and then bring it back in, hone in, and we got a lot of smart dudes and a lot of guys with a lot of experience to be able to lean on in the room, so it's been great.
Brian said he wanted.
So that is young William talking yesterday after practice, and I'm sure you could put him in a state of perpetual bounce back at this point in time, given the struggles and the difficulties that he's had personally and professionally. But the pick six in practice yesterday also. You want, like I said to you last night, you need to root for Will Levis to play well, so somebody can find that to be an attractive acquisition at some point in time. All right. That's going to do it for us tonight. We had a lot of fun. Teron Davenport's on the 615 sessions tomorrow. We'll look forward to having TD. Been a while. Talk some shop, especially coming off a week. I felt like the first real week of practice, given that there's actual competition and not just routes on air and individual drills and things like that. So we'll have TD tomorrow. Radio show, who we got? We've got Trey Wallace from Outkick, live reporting from the SEC meetings. And we've got Coach Dave McGinnis, which we'll enjoy from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. Then at 2:30 p.m. afterwards, we'll do the 615 sessions with Teron. And we will look forward to all of those things as well. We'll look forward to you guys participating too. Have a great rest of your evening. Look forward to seeing you guys back with us tomorrow on the radio show from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low.